Book One was all about the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. Empowering parents, teachers, and leaders to rewire stress into calm self mastery. One of her advocacy, no other than Miss Pennie Wilson.
Thanks so much for having me, Daniel. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to talk about books today.
Welcome, Miss Penny on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Absolutely, yeah. So my journey kind of started 20 years ago, where I was in a very emotionally reactive place. And I had to figure out in the middle of that how to get calm so I could be a better parent for my kids and fulfill the dreams that I wanted to have as a leader. And what I figured out was books are the magic. Books are the way
Mhm.
that you can really find mentors when you really don't have time, or relationships that people that can connect you, and finding the answers inside of yourself. And that's really what my journey has been about, that learning journey, finding the next right book at the right time.
Yes, definitely. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Penny. Thank you. And today let's talk about calm is not quiet. How emotional regulation brings clarity, confidence, and joy back online. The title makes the crucial distinction. Calm is not quiet. For someone who thinks they need to quiet their mind, what is the more accurate description of the internal state you're actually pointing to?
Yeah, so the mind can have tons of chatter, and especially when you're in a state of fight or flight, it's that place where the back of the mind, the monkey brain, I call it, has taken over and you're making automatic decisions. And before
Mm-hmm.
you can access an intelligent decision that will really help you get to where you want to go, you need to get to that calm thinking center in the front of your brain. And in order to do that, pause and self reflection and finding that place inside of yourself, that grounded place, really is the way to be able to get to that place of calmness. So it's just that space between what happens automatically and what you can intentionally choose.
Interesting, Miss Penny. Many people chase a version of calm that feels like emptiness or numbness. How do you differentiate through emotional regulation from simply shutting down or disassociating from feeling?
Well, it certainly was the beginning of my journey that I did disassociate, I did shut down. And when I finally hit rock bottom, I was able to come to that place of being honest with myself. And once you come to that place, then you can begin to find the awareness. We have a framework we use called the 4 R's. And the first one is recognizing, truly coming to that place where you can recognize and be honest. And it's much similar to the 12-step program that AA has. And just the recognizing and then condensing all of those 12 steps into these 4 R's. The second one is removing what you don't want to experience, or removing the heavy emotion. The third thing is replacing it, what you want to experience. And the fourth thing that we have incorporated is to reimagine truly what you want to create. And that is mental fitness.
Reimagine of what you want in life. You connect calm to clarity, confidence, and joy being back online. This implies they are our default state, not something we create. How does emotional regulation remove the static that is blocking our natural signal?
That's a really good contraposition. So, the way that I imagine it in my mind, and one of the three key things that programs our brain is images. So, if you imagine that you are on the beach, you're looking at the clouds, and the sun is over on the right side, beautiful, radiant sun, and you feel the warmth, and you have the clouds over on the left side, and it gradually gets darker and darker when you get to those clouds. Emotional regulation and the things that happen automatically, I imagine like a river that pull us downward. Our mind automatically will go to what is heavy depending on what our programming is when we grow up. But we do have the choice to shift our mind to what I metaphorically call the sun of what we do desire. So if at times you're recognizing this downward pull, I feel heavy today, that's a normal, natural feeling. But on the opposite side, you do have the power to choose after you recognize to shift your thoughts into what you do desire, into how it is helping you. There's so many ways to reframe that conversation in your head.
Mm-hmm. Well, Miss Penny, let's talk about the mechanics of regulation, the how. When emotions feel overwhelming and the instinct is to control or fix the feeling, you would suggest we must first address the physical body state. What is the most accessible science backed body first intervention to down regulate the nervous system in a real time?
I love that question because I truly want to empower people with tools they can use immediately. Like, this is an emotional first aid kit. I was in
Mm-hmm.
that place and I needed things. The first thing I learned to do was to regulate my breath. The science behind that is that it's an automatic thing that you can do. But when you choose intentionally to slow your breath down, it automatically slows down your heart rate. And I learned that from Dr. Andrew Huberman from the Harvard studies, and he has his own podcast. But learning to regulate the breath. So, in order to get into your body and find that calmness, all it takes is you finding an intention, choose to pause and really closing your eyes and simply listening to your breath. The reason why we feel so overwhelmed is because we're trying to control all the things outside of us that we can't choose. But inside, our breath is always one thing that we can choose. So, choosing to embody and feel in your emotions, feel in your physical senses, your body, what you're experiencing, listening to the sound of your breath, that's really where you can come back to the present moment instead of your mind being worried about the future or the past. Come back to the present moment and feel that breath in your body.
Miss Penny, let's talk about the window of tolerance. In a moment of emotional flooding, how can someone recognize their they've stepped outside their window? And what's the single most effective step to widen it in that moment?
Yeah, the window. So that kind of helps me to think of the emotional reactions that happen automatically. And when you are feeling any sort of malalignment, you're feeling like you're shaming yourself. If you listen to the chatter in your head, it's going to tell you a lot about what you're experiencing. But when you recognize that moment of dysregulation and really feeling the heaviness of that, you can choose then to pause and recognize it and choose to move it into what do I want to experience. So, again, going back to the picture of the sun and the clouds, literally recognizing on the side of the clouds, what did I do that wasn't who I really am? Why do I feel upset about this? And then reframing it into the sun side of what do I want to do? How do I want to show up? And then reframing and imagining with the fourth R, imagine what you want to create. You can have a conversation with yourself and visualize, this is the old way I did it. I don't like that and why I didn't like it. And then looking at intentionally, how do I want to show up? And literally imagining that in your mind creates new neural pathways. It creates that way for you to automatically move in, not automatically, but naturally with effort, more effort at first and less effort later as you practice it. But you imagine in your mind what you want to create, and then your brain is going to create those pathways.
Miss Penny, you describe emotions as data, not directives. What is a simple internal question we can ask to read the data of an intense emotion like anxiety or anger rather than being hijacked by it?
Absolutely, yeah. So I like to look at this from what one of the books that I love calls the seat of awareness, and that's from Dr. Michael Singer, and it's called the Untethered Soul. I had to remember the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls it the seat of awareness. So when you have those heightened emotions, recognize that it's a physical sensation. It's something your brain and your body are flooded with. But if you can imagine your third party perspective, imagine you're in a seat watching a movie and you see that you're experiencing this in the movie, you can non-attach, you can healthily detach from the actual being in your body and watch what you're experiencing. So coming to an awareness of what that conversation looks like, you can observe it, you can notice it, you can see it, and lean in with curiosity to find out, okay, what's going on here, what is the pattern, what was the trigger, and why do I feel this way. So it's digging into what I look at as the tree. There's a tree analogy where the branches represent the experiences that we're having. And Michael Singer talks about them as emotions flowing through us. So the branches of the tree are what experiences we have. The emotions are like the trunk, and the beliefs are like the roots. So really digging into that helps us to observe and be aware and notice without judging, without criticizing, because the judge and the shame is going to keep us stuck in that shame addiction loop.
Miss Penny, modern life bombard us with the micro stressors. What does the proactive regulations look like as a daily practice? Not for when we're in crisis, but to build a resilient baseline so we don't tip over as easily.
That is a great question, because that is exactly what mental fitness is. When you intentionally practice what you want to feel in those circumstances, anything that used to trigger you or used to be a challenge, you intentionally sit down and imagine, what do I want to experience? And you
Hmm.
train your brain to go where you want it to go, particularly in three areas: your images in your mind, so you're imagining the experience around you, the emotions that you're feeling in your body, and the beliefs that you have about yourself, about who you are in those circumstances. So it's choosing like a morning habit. If you're just beginning your journey, you can begin by breathing and seriously noticing your breath. I know it sounds so simple and so easy, but just noticing your breath in the morning, being present in your body. And then as you grow in your journey, you can begin like a 5 minute visualization practice in the morning to imagine, what do I want my day to look like? What do I want to experience? Instead of just letting the brain go downstream toward all the things that you don't want. What I do is I have an hour meditation practice in the morning, and I'll go through each of my energy centers in my body to help feel in my body the way that I want to feel. And you can literally retrain your brain and your body to feel. I know it sounds radical, but you can train your body to feel the emotions you want to feel, because we have power to choose what we think.
Miss Penny, how does the state of regulated calm physically and neurologically create a condition for clear thinking? Why is a quiet mind actually less capable of good decisions than a calm one?
So, yeah, it kind of goes back to that monkey brain experience in the back of our brain. When we
Hmm.
are in a heightened emotional state, that brain has taken over into make those automatic decisions in order to keep us safe. And the front of our brain literally has shut down in those experiences. The front of our brain has problem solving, higher thinking, imagination, creativity, all those things that we want to feel in a good state of experience, a flow state, I call it. But we can't access that until we're calm. So the two very opposite experiences are that fight or flight triggered state, and then choosing to get into that calm place. Once you do, then you can start making decisions that will support you in the front of your mind, calming down in your body, and asking yourself, okay, how do I want to show up? And what do I want to do in this circumstance?
So, Miss Penny, let's talk about the navigating common challenges and myth. A major block is the belief that my emotions are who am I or who I
Mm.
am. How do we cultivate the observer self, the part that can feel anger without being anger or without feeling inauthentic?
Right. Yeah, that is so important, because it is easy to get into a shaming place when we feel these heavy emotions. So I like to use that Michael Singer analogy of watching yourself in your seat of awareness and using that movie. There's one type of psychology that's called a parts therapy that we use in hypnotherapy. So this can be imagined as a conversation in your mind, to have compassion for that part of you that is learning, that is struggling, and recognize that they're doing their best, but they really don't have the answers on what they can do differently or better, especially when that monkey brain has triggered. So when you recognize these places of darkness, you can have that calm state and go into an imagined conversation. And this third person perspective helps you to let go of that shame, because you're seeing that part of you as a different person. You can feel as your higher self while having this conversation with this other part of you that's still learning and growing. So, parts therapy is a huge way that we can have compassion for that part of us.
Miss Penny, for high achievers, emotions like anxiety can feel necessary for motivation and performance. How do you convince someone that calm is more powerful and sustainable fuel for excellence than stress?
Well, I guess it's just really a matter of what you desire to create. I don't like to convince people of what they should think or what they should do, but what I can do is point out, are you feeling the way that you want to feel? If your brain is focused toward the clouds, believing that you need anxiety to push you to be your best, or you need that persecutor voice in your mind to tell you that you're doing something bad so that you can do better, then you're going to create emotions in your body that feel like anxiety, that feel conflicting. And the opposite of that feeling would be desire, where you imagine the side of the sun. That is a heliotropic effect. The side of the sun is going to pull you toward what you desire. And instead of floating downstream, you can literally begin to be pulled toward what you want. And it feels absolutely opposite of that anxiety feeling. You can feel joy in moving toward what you want. I have addiction of being able to accomplish things because it feels so good. And moving toward what I want, I'm so excited about it, the joy of all of that. So it's a matter of what you decide that you want to feel. Do you want to continue to feel that anxiety? Then that's your choice. If you want to feel that joy, that desire pulling you forward, then just shift in what you, the past you, and then the future you. What do you want to experience?
Well, very well said, Miss Penny. Truly, truly empowering answer. And what would be your short term and long term goals?
That's a good question. So, short term, we are building a community and we are getting ready to launch. Long term, we're getting ready to launch a board game, because our true desire is to get these habits and practices into people's hands so they can live. Many of us know tools, many of us know things that we quote unquote should be doing, but we don't do them and we don't implement the learning that we get. Information is an overload right now in our world, but what I want to do is help give people tools in their hands of what they can actually do to be better parents, better leaders, better at work. So we're creating a board game called Conquering FUD, and FUD stands for fear, uncertainty, doubt, dread, and discouragement. And in that game, it's going to be paralleled to the real experiences that we have in life. Moments of choosing to pause, moments of recognizing what we're experiencing that we don't want. All of those paralleled experiences. So, long-term goal is we're going to be launching that campaign within the next few months to get that board game up and going with a crowdfunding. So I would love to connect with anyone that is interested in collaborating with us.
Yes, good luck to your goals, Miss Penny, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
Don't be like me. Be like your best self. Be like your
Yes.
higher self. Grow into what you want. And the truth is that the magic is in you. You have the power to choose. And as soon as you claim that power, you can shift your mind away from what you don't want and toward what you do want. And by that mind shift, you create the emotions and the experiences that you have in your life.
Well, thank you for that empowering advice, Miss Penny. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Well, I can recommend my own book. It's called From Darkness to Light. Um,
Yes.
It's listed on Amazon, and we can give you a link to put that in the show notes as well. But I really do appreciate Michael Singer's perspective in order to get this third person understanding that we are a spiritual being having a physical experience, and really having compassion for that part of you that is still learning.
Definitely. And thank you for that recommended book, Miss Penny, as well as your book itself. Thank you for that. And for someone feeling overwhelmed and skeptical, what is the tiny 60-second experiment they would try right now to glimpse the difference between the quiet and the calm you describe?
Okay, 60 seconds. Right now,
Yes, please.
notice in your body, what is the level of anxiety or stress that you are experiencing? Think of the number 1 through 10. 1, you're totally calm. 10, you're having a panic attack. Notice that number. And then for the next 50 seconds, connect with your breath, slow down, and feel your breath moving through your body. Begin to imagine being in a safe place, feeling a waterfall of light flowing through your body. Release into that waterfall all of the stress, all of the anxiety, all of the things that you can't control. Simply breathe and let it go, and find a place of stillness. And after that 1 minute is over, notice the number of what your stress level is on a scale of 1 to 10. Many people I do this with go from like an 8 to a 3 within 5 minutes. So it's super powerful, noticing what's happening in your body.
Powerful indeed. And thank you for that tips, Miss. And hoping our listeners or viewers are will try. I hope they will try that to calm
Mhm.
themselves. And Miss Penny, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my Abstract Essay is already in sixth season, Abstract Poetry in third season, and my book 101 Review in sixth season as well. Comedy 101 in its third season, and Food 101 and sixth season too. Geography 101 Love Letters, Movie 101 Review, Music 101 are in fifth season, Science 101, Sex 101 in its fourth season, and Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and of course, my Bible Verses 101. So please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Penny, to close, if we yes, if we as a culture broadly learn the that calm is not the absence of feeling but not the mastery of our relationship to feeling, what kind of the world we co-create in our workplaces, families, and politics?
I love that you use the word co-create, because it really is a ripple effect of each person choosing to be responsible first for
Mm-hmm.
themselves. As a parent, I can't make my kids change, but I can choose to be responsible for my own emotions. And when I do, I can co regulate with them. I can help them to be seen and be heard and listen to them. That ripple effect goes out to places of work and places of the world. And what I hope to create is a world of abundance, a world where people feel connected, where they feel safe to share what they feel, where we figure out problems together, a problem solving mindset, solving solutions together in synergy. That is the type of collaboration that becomes possible when we choose to control ourselves and lift others.
Well, interesting and powerful answer, Miss Penny. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your book, your advocacy, or anything you want to promote on Book 101?
Absolutely, yes. I would love to people to visit kokorocreators.com. That's KOKORO creators.com. And on the programs page, you can see 4 different stages of where people typically find themselves in their journey. And we guide people from that state of fight or flight into becoming a creator and actually creating what they want in their lives.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Pennie Wilson because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy like this to rise. So, Miss Pennie, I have one more question. For someone feeling overwhelmed and skeptical, what is this tiny 60 seconds or impairment experiment from themselves to give boost to have shine light to their everyday life?
So, someone feeling overwhelmed and in that place of skepticism, they probably have tried a lot of things in the past that haven't worked. And remember that as soon as you are in a place of choice and you recognize where you are in your life, you can choose to gain power. It's a gradual journey, but each choice you make to become calm gives you more power to choose it on the very next choice. It grows like a muscle. So no matter where you are on your journey, one step at a time is all it takes.
Baby steps, people, baby steps. Miss Pennie, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. It's been great to be with you, Daniel. Thank you.
Likewise. More to come, people. See you soon.